All right, all right. Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kahakwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Back at you with another lesson. Staying on the Lord's good side equals staying alive. Okay, staying alive in the spirit and staying alive on earth, your physical body on earth. You being alive, breathing. Okay, you got to stay on the Lord's good side if you want to continue to, stay alive. All right. That's the deal. That's the bargain that, we made when we come into this truth. OK, the Lord is pretty much set before you life and death. Right. I'm going to just hold that right there. OK. Let me see anything else I can get off that. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, we'll get into that. But, like I was saying, a part of our bargain with Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is, doing what he tells us. Okay. When we come into this truth, okay, you realize that there's work to be done. Okay. There's work to be done. If you're in a camp, you already know what you got to do. You gotta do your videos. You got to study, you got to go to camp, you got to be brotherly. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're on the outside, even if you're not in the camp, you might be a brother or a sister that's just watching. Well, you got to follow the example of the prophets to the best of your ability. OK, you know what I'm saying? And try to fulfill your lot, because if you don't, all right, if you slack on, your agreement with Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, all right, the Lord can very well put you to death, man. All right. I've seen it happen. OK, I've heard stories. I've seen it even happen with my own eyes. OK, operating outside of, the Lord's program, OK, could put you in hot water. All right. So you want to do your best to stay with your head above water. OK. And the way you do that is, doing what the Lord tells you. OK, following the scripture, staying in order. OK, because once you try to operate outside of that, all right, that's where the trouble begins. All right. And the first thing that the Lord going to yank the spirit from you. OK, so at that point, you're already dead. Then the Lord, he going to put you to death physically. All right. And you see these type of things happen all the time. Right. The Lord gives us examples of people that get the spirit yanked from them, or people that end up dying in strange ways after, they denounce Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. OK, that's because those people, all right, they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. OK, they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. And, they let the rudiments of the world, infect their mind. OK, you got to be locked into the Lord, man. All right. Because this is how you're going to stay alive. All right. See, 2/3 of our people, they're going to be destroyed. So the Lord allows them to do as much wickedness as they want to do. OK, and the Lord still be judging them. The Lord still be, putting the smack down on them. But, with us, it's like, when we do something, it gets noticed right away. And we get recompensed right away when we do something, especially the longer you've been in the truth. OK, you really don't have, no more time to slip up. You know what I mean? So we can't compare ourselves to 2/3 and look at the 2/3 and be like, man, how come they get to do a lot and they get away with it? That's because the Lord has given them to this flesh. But us, we made an agreement with the Lord. All right. Our agreement is that we'll be obedient to, what he tells us to do, so that way we can remain in the truth and stay alive. All right. Let me get this scripture real quick. This is 1 Samuel 15:22. It says, and Samuel said, hath the Lord as great delight in burning offerings and sacrifices. And I believe that this is the account in the story of Samuel and Saul, when Saul first became king of Israel. OK, and one of his first order of commands was to go clear out those Amalekites. Right. Because it was like a city or a region where the Amalekites were. OK, and Saul was ordered to kill every single one of them and slaughter them. All right. Slaughter them, slaughter the children, slaughter everybody in that land, even slaughter the animals. Don't let nothing live. Right. And Saul, he did the opposite. He slaughtered some, but then he kept some Amalekites as slaves. And then he took all the goddamn cattle and the animals. You see, when he did that, when Saul did that, he pretty much marked himself for death. OK, because he went against the order of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right. So for you brothers and you sisters, OK, with whatever order is being passed down from the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, not these other camps, because these other camps will sit there and tell you to they'll order you to go take the goddamn jab. Remember that? OK, but whatever is ordered from the apostles and elders, OK, it will be in your best interest to do it. OK, because the spirit is moving on those men to guide the sheep. You know what I'm saying? All right. We don't have access directly to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai to the point to where, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is going to come talk to us and sit with us in our living room. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we can feel we know that the presence of the Lord is guiding us. We can feel his presence. We can feel his guidance and his direction. But we don't see the Lord right now like we're hanging out with him in the living room and he could tell us what to do. All right. The Lord is going to put the spirit on other men to tell us what to do. OK, so whatever is being passed down through the spirit. OK, you got to follow it. All right. So that way you can stay alive. OK, you operate outside of that. All right. You're going to mark yourself for death. All right. It says, behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. Yeah, to obey is better than sacrifice. And that's what our people are known for. OK, our people have all of this disobedience. And I'm talking about 2/3 of our people and Jake, who fell out the truth. Niggas got all of this, disobedience. Right. All of this goddamn rebellious behavior towards Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, but they still think that they're doing something good because, of their little minute achievements in this world. Like Tazariak. Look how rebellious a nigga like Tazariak is, right? But you let Tazariak tell it, he'll tell you that he's doing the work of the Lord because he's getting on podcasts and he's so-called spreading the word of Yasharallah to the ignorant, right? So he's linking up with all of these goddamn devils on camera, right? All of these suspicious characters, okay? But the spirit has already, told us, hey, don't be linking up with these niggas. Don't be going on these podcasts. Don't be doing this. Don't be doing that. Okay. And he's doing it anyways. Okay. And he's getting ready to be caught up. All right. The Lord is getting ready to put his ass in a trick bag because he's not obedient. Okay. He's not obedient. He think that him sacrificing a nigga like, I'm just using Tazariak as an example, right? Because Tazariak got that spirit of King Saul on him, but, he think that, I'm sacrificing, myself, trying to put Israel on the map. This is good enough for the Lord. But what about obedience? What about doing what the spirit of the Lord told you? OK, what about following the scriptures? You see? So that's why Samuel told Saul, look, to obey is better than sacrifice. You should have did what the Lord told you. The Lord don't give a fuck about you sacrificing these animals, Saul. Okay. What did the Lord tell you first? The Lord said, slaughter the entire that entire region of Amalekites. Okay. So that from that point, King Saul marked himself for death, man. All right. Let me get this real quick. This is Micah 6:8. It says, he hath shewed thee, O man, what is good. All right. And we've been shown what is good through the scriptures. Okay. We've read the scriptures with the eye salve. All right. Because when we was in the world, we wasn't reading the scriptures with the eye salve. We was reading the scriptures blind. But now the Lord has awakened our understanding. Okay. And now when we read the scriptures, we could see things with a clear understanding. OK. And also the Lord has, given us shepherds to give us a living example of how to be locked in the spirit. So the Lord has shown us what is good. If you can't see it, then, you just got that rebellious demon inside of you. All right. It says, and what doth the Lord require of thee? OK, this is what the Lord requires of you. All right. It says, but to do justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with thy God. All right. That's what the Lord requires. All right. If you go outside of that, OK, at that point, you're in violation of, the program of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. All right. And the only thing that could come upon you is misfortune and situations. All right. The only thing that could come upon you is bitter and wormwood, as the scriptures say. All right. Let's get this. Deuteronomy 28:15. It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Okay. Meaning that if you, try to operate outside of what's being told to us. Okay. You try to do your own thing. All right. You got a lot of Jakes out here. Okay. A lot of these Jakes that still think that they in the truth, but look how they move. Okay. Look what they doing. They talking shit. All right. They doing things that's not expedient. Right. They bring in a open shame upon, this awakening. OK. Jake that's in IUIC is making the truth look corny. This is why, our people, 2/3 of our people, they think that being an Israelite is a waste of time, because you got camps that's making it look corny when really this is deadly serious, when really this is our life. OK, this is not a joke. All right. But other camps out here is making this shit look like a joke. OK, but that's because they're not in the right spirit. They're not doing what the Lord tells them. And we going to see how the Lord deals with, these Jakes that don't want to, operate within the guidelines. OK, the Lord is going to embarrass them. The Lord is going to humiliate them in front of everybody. And then the Lord is just going to take them off the earth. All right. Some of them is going to be taken off the earth quick, and some of them is going to be grinded out slow to experience a painful, excruciating death. All right. I'm not here to sugarcoat a goddamn thing. I'm here to tell the truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. That's what's going to happen. All right. And that's what's going to happen to anybody that in these times that try to do their own goddamn thing. All right. That's what's going to happen to anybody that want to continue to eat pork. All right. Want to continue to trust in the so-called white man. You still got hope that America. OK, it's the good old America, and we can restore America. All right. Anybody that's outside of the purpose of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, because a lot of this shit that our people are latched onto is not what the Lord intends. OK, a lot of our people are, hoping in the devil's mercy. OK, they're not hoping in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai's mercy. All right. It says, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Yeah. And that goes for us brothers and sisters that are sincere in this truth. OK, we have to hold up our end of the bargain. All right. or else we're going to be subject to the curses. We're expendable, man. All right. This is something that we have to understand. OK, don't ever think that I'm in the truth and, the status that I got is important. And the Lord wouldn't just kick me off to the curb. And, I'm important in this ministry. Don't ever think no shit like that, man. OK, we're expendable. All right. The Lord get your ass out of here and raise up somebody to replace you fast. OK. This is why you got to walk humble, man. This is why you got to, respect the word of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, because at any given moment, the Lord could just say, okay, you know what? I'm tired of your goddamn rebellious ass. I'm going to go ahead and kick you to the curb. Okay. I'm going to yank the spirit from your ass, or I'm going to just put you to death suddenly because I'm tired of your bullshit. You see? So this is why, okay, you want to try to do the best you can to do what's right, man. All right, because this is what's going to keep you alive, man. All right. It's dudes out here that came into this truth. Right. And, they do some off shit. They do some foul ass shit. And then the Lord will take their life. All right. The Lord will bring them back to the spirit world. You see, I seen it. OK, so. This is not a game. All right. This is not a game. The Lord is not playing with us. All right. You either do what's right or you're going to get left behind. All right. Let me get this last scripture right here. Deuteronomy 30, and we'll start at verse 17. It says, but if thine heart turn away so that thou wilt not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them. OK, if that rebellious spirit creeps in you. OK, and, you start trying to do your own thing. You start not listening to brothers' counsel. You start going against the orders, right, that have been passed down through the spirit. OK, because that's pretty much like worshiping another god. All right. Rebellion. What does the scripture say? Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. Once you start that path of rebellion, you're pretty much worshiping Satan. Little do you know. All right. Because pride, ego, rebellion, okay, all of that shit is attributes of Satan. All right. That's what Satan sows inside of you. All right. And you worshiping a god in this time, it don't necessarily mean that, you got to build an altar and bow down to that altar. No, it's really about what you give your energy to. All right. Where is your energy being invested? Right. If your energy is being invested more into rebellion. All right. And trying to walk your own way. OK, you're worshiping another god. All right. Especially if it's outside of what the Lord told you. OK, you're worshiping another god by default, man. All right. And that's what will get you put to death. All right. That's what will get the spirit yanked from you. OK, staying on the Lord's good side equals staying alive, man. All right. And this is a tip for, maybe you brothers that's kind of new, that's just now coming into the truth. Hey, the way you keep longevity in this truth, okay, is by doing the right thing. All right. And sometimes the right thing is not always easy. All right. Trust me. I know, sometimes doing the right thing is not always easy, but it's the right thing. All right. And the Lord throws out a lot of series of tests to see where your heart is at. Because the Lord knows that that fighting for the truth and doing the right thing in this world is not easy, but it takes the strong, okay, to do it anyways. Only the strong is going to survive. All right. So that's just a tip for brothers that might be, kind of new in this thing. All right. Your longevity depends on, how well you could keep up with the standard. All right. You go outside of that. OK, you're going to start withering away until the Lord ultimately destroy you. All right. You're going to be subject to the curses. All right. The Lord is going to put them curses back on you. OK, and you're going to be out here naked. You're going to be out here with the 2/3 worse than what you were before you came into the truth. Verse 18, it says, I denounce unto you this day that ye shall surely perish, and that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land, whither thou passeth over Jordan to go to possess it. So basically what the Lord is saying, if you don't do what the hell I tell you, you're going to die. OK, you're not going to make it. All right. These are the little camps that, that, got these zombie followers, and I'll mention them: ISUPK, IUIC. I can't say Sakari anymore because, the little faggot leader, all right, the power bottom Alazar, okay, he's he's walked away from his office. All right, I guess he's chasing a bigger dildo now. So I can't say Sakari no more, but you get what I'm talking about. These camps that are obviously in rebellion. Okay. A lot of them people in them camps are not going to make it. Okay. It might be some elect that might wake up out of them camps, wake up out of that spell. But most of them ain't going to make it, man. Okay. Most of them are not going to make it. All right. Because they don't have no foundation. They don't have no root. And ultimately they're in rebellion. Okay. They still, with a lot of these other bugged out camps, it's still this big ass question mark with the mark of the beast. Come on. We at the end, man. Okay. We at the end. We're right at the cusp of the new world order transition. And you still got Israelites out here that are, the mark of the beast topic is outrageous to them. The mark of the beast topic is one big mystery. You still ain't figured that out. Okay. More than likely, like brothers is saying, more than likely them dudes then sold out, or they really that goddamn rebellious and stupid to where they don't want to admit that the mark of the beast is the chip because GMS said it first. That's a rebellious punk ass spirit. You getting ready to die and you getting ready to lead other people to destruction because GMS said it first. And you don't want to hop on the bandwagon. It's not about GMS saying it first. It's about the spirit of the Lord. OK, it's about what's right. And these dudes, they don't want to do what's right. So they're going to die. They're going to perish. All right. And 2/3 of our people is going to perish because we out there talking to them, telling them what's right. And they don't want to listen. So they're going to die and they're going to perish. But us, OK, we got to stay on the narrow path, man. All right. We got to keep walking through the straight gate and keep, to the best of our ability, keep doing what's right. Okay. And let that fucking pride and that ego go. All right. Rebuke is going to come in this truth, man. All right. And that's one thing that causes Jake to be rebellious. Right. Jake, be on a pattern of good works until he get rebuked. Jake be doing everything right until that first rebuke and somebody get on his ass about something. Then it's fuck the truth. Then this shit is corny. Then y'all don't know what y'all talking about. You know what I mean? Don't let that spirit creep in, man. Okay. All right. Don't let that type of weak, effeminate spirit creep in, man. At the end of the day, we got to get the hell out of here, man. This shit is a nightmare. Okay. And if you got to get rebuked, if you got to follow a order that's puzzling, but it's the right thing. Okay. You got to do what you got to do, man. All right. This is how we're staying alive in this thing. We're not staying alive in this thing because we're cool guys, right? Because we're cool. The Lord likes that swagger when we walk down the street and, we the realest nigga on the block. That ain't why that's not why the Lord is keeping us alive and keeping us in this thing. The Lord is keeping us alive because of our obedience. Okay. Remember that, man. Your salvation is predicated on your obedience to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. You go outside of that, you're marked for death, man. All right. Plenty examples in the scriptures that have shown that already. All right. Verse 19, last verse. It says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death. You see, life is staying in this truth. But the only way you're going to remain in this truth is if you do what Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is telling you. That's the only way you're going to remain in the truth. Okay. You do what the scriptures is telling you. You follow the examples of the apostles and elders, man. Okay. That's how you stay alive, man. All right. That's how you keep the truth within you. Okay. Because when this truth inside of us is what's keeping us alive. We are alive through the spirit. All right. This is life. It says in death is anything outside of this. Death is, not doing what Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai tell you, right? Like, I'll give you an example, the dietary law. Why you think so many of our people got diabetes, gout, and all of these goddamn health problems? Because they're not obedient to the dietary law. All right. They eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. All right. And it's fucking clogged their arteries up, and they got all sorts of parasites inside of them. And now the nigga got cancer. So now he's been death has been placed upon him because he's not obedient to the dietary law. You see? It says, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life that both thou and thy seed may live. You see? Choose life. Okay? Choose obedience. Do what the Lord tells you, man. Okay? So that way you can remain in this truth, man. All right? Don't let that pride and the influence of the serpent, okay, get inside of your mind. All right? Don't let the covetousness of this world, okay, hypnotize you into thinking that the truth is corny. I don't need to do this no more. I could chase a bag or whatever the fuck the devil is trying to put in your head. Okay, you got to be able to rebuke that shit. All right, but the problem is that some niggas, they get so rebellious, all right, and they don't fight them demons, okay, that, them demons that be whispering in their head, they start listening to it, and they start to agree with them demons, okay, instead of rebuking them demons in their head. All right, so now, he didn't went from a brother that's on fire for the Lord to now he's slowly fizzling out because he didn't let them demons convince him and switch a narrative inside of his head. All right, because he didn't stay on the right path. Okay, so I just wanted to make this video through the spirit, man. Staying on the Lord's good side equals staying alive. Shalom, shalom.